Howdy, pals. How's it going? How are we doing? It's Wednesday, my dudes. Just completely forgot what was happening, what was going through my brain. It's fine. Supposed to do errands today. That's not happening. I'm gonna do errands tomorrow, so I am here now, doing a little stream for you. Isn't that exciting? I'm excited, but that's just because I think we might be able to at least see the Shimura fight, and figure out what to do from there. Sorry, I have something in my eye. Ugh. Okay, yeah, so I'm stoked about that. I am realizing that I did not plug my controller in. It is plugged in now. But yeah, I don't know. I am excited to just play some more video game. Oh boy. It sure is video game today. Oh boy, why is that so loud? Sorry, that looks just miserable for you on OBS. Is that still? That still looks so loud. Let's do. That seems better. That looks better. If that's too loud or anything, let me know. Britt, thank you for the contribution to the totem. Also, welcome in. How are you doing? I saw that and I was like, what is that? No idea what that redeem was for a minute. I understand what's happening. Everyone is hungry. I'm doing alright. We've, oh god. No Gregor. No Grogr. No Gurgur. No Gurgur. Sorry. He's reached old age. I'm doing alright. Clearly having a moment. It's fine. Let's do a few of those, and a few of those, and a couple of those, and maybe one of those. Sometimes all of our cultists have an ogre theme going on. And sometimes I forget how to say any of their names because it's very silly. Arcade, hi, how are you doing? But yeah, aside from having a word moment, I'm doing pretty alright. Olive, our cultists, is that what the captions said? Do they hate how I say things? Cause that tracks. Ah, I burnt one. It's fine. Get that out of here. Yeah, I don't know. It's been like a really... It's been a hard week as far as sleep is concerned. So I'm just like real tired. But like doing okay despite that. Thank you. Here's hoping. I've been doing like really well about getting to bed, like going and laying down at a reasonable time. Not necessarily falling asleep at a reasonable time, but at least doing what I can to get some good rest. But I appreciate it. Genuinely, like even with that, it's like I'm doing pretty alright. Oh, no Gregor. Said it right this time. He pooped. But yeah. You weren't looking, you were just being silly. Understood. No Gregor. Sometimes you just have to mumble their names and hope that it works. It's the closest that it can be. We have 11 followers. No Gregor is gonna die sometime soon. I guess we should probably start bringing some boys in, huh? As always, if anybody has a funny Yarn Ogre. I was gonna say, if anybody has a funny ogre name, I am willing to hear it out. But also, his name is Yarn Ogre, and that's just that. That's Yarn Ogre. And he is remaining a bat because it's very cute, and I think he's gonna be pink. I think we're gonna have a pink bat. Also, this little guy, he's so scrappy. Produces sin slower and loses faith whenever somebody dies. Excuse me. Evo. Okay, sorry, he's... We are always... Sorry, I thought that was Brit saying that for a second, because that's a very, Sam adjacent thing. Yarn ogre, yogurt. Listen. Listen. It's fine. Do you want to... You want to go farm? I don't know that we have enough farmers. Hey, we have another boy. I don't want to get too many going at the moment, is the main thing. You know? No. I need you to... Those are already... Yogurt, my Gert, our Gert, communism. So true. So true, bestie. This is strawberry yogurt for real. He's very cute. I love him. What do we need? I want more sin things, but I haven't even built. I haven't even built the ones that we've unlocked, and it's just upgrades that are available now. What haven't we done? Like at this point, starting to unlock all the lower tier stuff would be good, right? No, getting these would be great. What does this do? Do I just get more resources? We'll get the upgraded lumberyard, since we use those so often. Sorry, I have like an eyelash or something in my eyeball, and it won't go away. It might just be like a single hair annoying me specifically. Let's do a couple more. Just a few more foods. It's not great food. Well, and everyone's gonna... I mean, they're not gonna be upset, right? Because, like... Can I inspire everybody? I got a lot of y'all here. So let's get that inspiration going. I would like for everyone to not be starving when I come back. I still need more camellias, which I think I said last time, and then proceeded to not go to Darkwood or wherever it was. 5 becomes nothing. Nothing at all. Duty I owe to my brethren cannot be shirked. My temple awaits. Well, I guess we're gonna go cry Kayshurrr right now. I thought we still had one more to do. I am gonna pause because I don't like the day progressing while I am trying to take a dink. Let me just dink my big oiter. It's the biggest. We're gonna pause. And then we're gonna do some ding-dang murders. Hey, we got a Bane blunderbuss. A Bane munderbus. Not Bigman. Ah, shit. Ah, fuck. I need him to not have projectiles. That focuses on me? Can I get a different one? New curse with a higher level. Let's go. That's exactly what I wanted. Jesus! Wait, does every part of his body count as like a different part of him? So if you shoot through him, it does, like, multiple hits of damage, because, like, I'd be cool with that. That'd be fine. What is this? Do I want to? Am I gonna get cursed? No. I just get some wood and a diseased heart. And we're cool with that. We're fine with this. Oh my gosh! Okay, well that wasn't ideal, but it did get rid of a lot of the guys. And I did get that bonus first heart, so we're not too upset about it. Yeah, it's kinda spidery in here. There's so many legs. Is the game too loud? I'm gonna keep asking this. Or is it an okay volume compared to me? 20% chance of negating damage. I would like a 1 in 5 chance to not get hit. That's pretty good. You're okay? Perfect. Great. Again, I haven't messed with them since last time, but like it just looks very different today than it did before, but maybe I'm just paying attention more. It's time to draw this ugly business to a close. He waits at the point of the sharpened blade, the fate that cannot be outrun. He waits in the eye of the raging storm, at the end of the long day done. What are you doing? Okay. I am fine with him summoning his own guys. I was concerned that he was gonna make me try and kill some of my own guys again, and I was gonna be very upset about that. Just as a whole. But it's okay. Perfect. Look at us go. I was afraid that I was like gonna have some issues coming back. I mean, it's only been like 2 days, but we're still that concerned of being like, I'm gonna come back in here and not know how to do a fight. Joke's on me. I remember. None afraid. I just shot that man's arrow back at him. That's cool. I like it. So true. I am Strog Gamer. Hello. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna keep like rubbing my eye until whatever it is that's poking me goes away. Don't mind me. I say, and then just aggressively rub both of my eyes. I'm not sleepy, you're sleepy. I'll be right here, Arcade, my dearest friend. Take your time. We love having you around, but if you gotta go do stuff, go do stuff. What should we do? I don't think we've, like, really come across any hearts, right? Thus far. This is for Ratau? Yeah. Ratu, excuse me. My love took my heart to the sea. The sea. She took my heart to the sea. 'Tis where my heart will be in her bed at the bottom of the sea. Welcome, Crusader. Take a moment to join me in my search. I look for the heart that once beat in my chest. That is, until it was taken by her. I've been sitting here for so many years, even her face has faded from my mind. I keep searching, always searching. I have a dozen hearts, you see, but none of them are mine. They are yours if you wish to have them, Crusader. They are worthless to me. I care only for the heart that was once mine, so that I might look upon her face one last time. does nothing for the little guys. Gain 2 extra hearts. I don't have the money, and that's a waste. I remember I did this once, and I think I had to get, like, the little demon. So there's, like, that summoning circle where you can turn some of your followers into demons for like a raid or whatever. And I think you need to get the heart one for him. But it's a random chance? Or no, it tells you what you get based on your follower, but each one is different, so you may or may not have access to that one. We'll see. I would like to do it, eventually. Also, new curse just dropped. Ooh, excuse me. Anyway. I'd like to try and do that. I don't know, like, how completionist-y we're gonna be regarding this game on stream. Like, I would like to do all the things eventually, but do I want to do them so that everyone can see? We will see. Okay, get those guys out of here. Oh, not even an issue. I would like to, like, explore some of the Sins of the Flesh DLC on stream once we get to a point where, like, I can actually afford everything. We've done a little bit, but not nearly as much as I would like to. And some of that's just because we just don't have the supplies. I got him dead before he had a chance to do a stupid bullet. And I'm excited about that. Curses consume 75% less fervor. I'm gonna be able to use my curses so many times. Alright, let's... Do I want a different relic? What do you do? Clownic Shoe. Fire 3 projectiles for each tarot card. Equipped. You have no tarot cards, fire 2 projectiles. Average charge speed. I mean, we're really close to the fight with Shimura. This could come in handy. So I think yeah. I mean, I've already done it, so trying to be, like, thoughtful in how I'm saying it is very silly. But, you know, I think having projectiles is worth it, because it's, I don't know, we have a decent amount. We've got 2, that's 6 projectiles. Devastating melee attack that will also summon ghosts from slain enemies. Yeah, let's do that. That's more in line with what I like as far as curses are concerned. Let's see. You love to see that devotion. Stay out of the way of the charging spiders. Those are the ones that tend to get me. There's just so much going on, and I stand by the fact that, like, they're very difficult to see. A lot of the enemies do kind of, like, match in color with, like, the background and stuff. I don't want a different weapon. Not if it's a hammer versus a dagger situation. Neither of those are great. Also, I want to go over here because we missed a room. Just because it split off and we had many an option of where to visit. Come on. Okay. Well, we're starting to get on top of the point situation a little bit. We just need to make so many refined golds that, like, continuing to have any amount of gold that is good is, like, impossible, it feels like. Oh god. Everyone just wants me to give them gold bars now, and I need them to understand that that's not happening. Upsetting when you're really close to an enemy and then you just shoot past them. I tend to do that a lot. Oh boy! That is a good curse! Of this scythe, and I think I would like it every time. Not every time. I do like the tentacle ones as well. They're pretty great. Oh shit, we're here. Okay, let's go. I'm scared. How horrible is this fight gonna be? He of havoc, he of blight, she of hunger, they of might. 5 becomes 4, becomes 3, becomes 2, becomes 1, becomes nothing. I'm scared. Oh god. I mean, that's pretty... Oh, fuck! Oh, is that how those work? Okay, what? Oh, that AoE on that hit is significant. I thought I had dodged. Ah! Okay. Stars, my beloved! How are you, friend? Okay. We poke and we leave. We poke and we leave. Fuck! This is fine. It's going great. There's no problems here. There's a lot happening. I really like the music here, though. Oh, God. Ah! You're so good! I feel to the post office tomorrow, but you're excited because sending mail is exciting. It's true. I'm glad you're doing great, though. This makes me happy. I like it when my friends are thriving and having a nice time. Please don't jump on me. Oh my god. Okay. Hold on. I will be more chat focused in a minute. That hit. That's very upsetting to me. Oh god. Oh god. This is fine. You're here to experience the culture. This is me getting my ass not really hand it to me. I'm shocked that we're doing okay. Kayshurrr has a lot of health, though, is the big concern, and I'm not hitting particularly hard. That hit in the wrong direction. I think it did. Okay, that's a little upsetting. We're doing great. Sorry, again, I'll catch up with chat in a second. I know y'all understand. I just feel bad about it. Oh my goodness. Okay, where are you going? I am so glad that Scythe has like a knockback effect. Because there have been a few times where Kayshurrr should have definitely hit me because they were jumping at me as I was like activating the move. But because it pushed him back, it made him just slightly out of range, and that's delightful. I need... That one missed. That negated the attack, though. Thank you. 20% chance to not take a hit on hit. My goodness, I need more little guys. Kayshurrr, please. I need that fervor, bud. We could get that for me. That would be lovely. He doesn't wanna. She doesn't want to, excuse me. I'm sorry. Ugh. This is taking forever. Okay, where are you going? Oh, am I gonna do it? First fucking try! Oh my goodness! Okay. Kayshurrr has reached old age. What did I miss? Welcome back, Arcade. The world tries to rid of me, but they underestimate my abilities. You know what? I'm glad that you're stronger than the world, because I'd be sad if you weren't around to hang out and chat with us. Why would the world do? Powerful question. You're really enjoying all the wet noises the spider makes? They're bad. They're bad. Bad, horrible wet noises. And we love that. I don't. My misophonia does not like it, but you know, we deal with it. I was expecting that fight to be a lot more difficult. Also, Britt, thank you for the bubble and the hydrate. I'll just go ahead and open up the big boy bottle and take a sip like a tiny child, because my bottle is too big. It's the biggest bottle. I usually have like a little, like a straw-ish attachment, so I don't have to pick it up. But I genuinely hate straws. I don't like them for me. I understand the purpose that they serve, and I'm here for other people to use them. I don't like it. It makes my mouth feel weird. But the other attachment that I have, that is a smaller nozzle, is dirty, and I need to wash it. So you get to see the Wumbo bottle. It's 84 ounces? Yeah, it's an 84-ounce bottle. It's very big. But it makes sure I stay hydrated. So true. I'm just so good at video games. No, just like compared to what our experience with Calamar was, and how I don't know. Calamar, we got through it. We did Calamar in like 2 or 3 tries this time around, I think. But like Calamar was hard. And this was a lot. Shimura had a lot of health, but like we did it. We got through it. First try. I was expecting that to take us a few attempts. Shimura was weak, not wise. Their vision was too small to contain the multitudes of one such as I. Time has come to free me. You shall have the honor of returning the red crown to its true bearer. I admit, you have worn it almost as well as I could have myself. Sacrificed 2 followers to strengthen the cult, to strengthen us. Your appetite for death is something I can admire, Vessel, but the crown is mine, and none are worthy. None other than I. You shall lay down your life and return to me what is mine. After millennia, all may bask in my glory once more. I would rather not. But it cannot be done here. The final gate awaits. Hurry now, the time is at hand. Okay, but here's the thing. I don't want to die. Lamb, what slaughtered in the name of the captive god? Ponder this. Whose name does thou slaughter in now? My own. Hey, look at all of our pals. Everyone is so happy. My followers are inspired by my victory, and oh god, everyone is hungry and it is filthy here. Better just be these. There might be a couple of other... Okay, there should only be like 1 or 2 boots. It's just that one. Everything's clean. Give me this. I would like to inspire everyone over here. Look at our pals go. What else do we need to do? We do need to feed everyone. Sorry, I don't know why I said that. It's so strange. The inspiration dance is very good. Do be loving us a good inspiration dance. Let's make... This is the one that broke. Okay. Well, you know what? You know what? Yeah. Inspire. Everyone who can be inspired. Let's go. We love that. And how we laughed. Give me those coins. We have a lot of followers that are old, which like is fine. We love the elderly. However, they are gonna be dying soon, and that's upsetting. So we should probably add those other couple of the other. We've done like okay, so the first time that we tried to play through this, we may have done a number of murders. But we're trying to be nice this time. We're trying to be kind and lovely. Hold on, what is this? Unlocks the natural burial building. The corpses of dead followers may return to the earth by becoming fertilizer, or unlocks the grave building. Gain 2 faith when followers grieve at a grave. Gimme grave. Boy howdy, do we have a lot of dead dudes. So I mean, we could sacrifice some friends. Or consider we just let everyone cry over them. They die, and we cry. What is this? Death is no longer the end when killed on a crusade. Right. I don't want to do that. I don't... Listen, we're having a hard time keeping the population up as is. because everyone gets old and dies so fast. Yeah, it's time for a grave rave. Let's go. Actually, can we? I need to get rid of these new markers. It's too many things that say new. There's one. Where is... There is... Silk Cradle has some cool stuff, actually. I do want these put out. That's gonna use up, like, all of our gold, though. We'll consider it. We'll think about it. What I want... Do I not have... I do have graves available. 20 gold! Oh, and it requires a body pit! Well, heck. We'll do this. This is our, like, lovely little grave area, right? I wanted to keep all of them, like, in the crypts that we have, but for decoration purposes. Oh, sorry, buddy. I was trying to build with you. Okay. Well, we are prepared for the next batch of followers that die. Yay! Let's get some poop away. Oops. Let's get some camellia seeds in there. Lots of cauliflower. I don't have any beetroot seeds, which is a little upsetting, but what can you do? We don't, like, really need any more mushrooms, do we? You're full of dirty things. Everyone is hungry. I don't want to make food, so we're just gonna do a feast ritual as a treat. And we're doing fine on faith now, but I think we'll do a funeral as well, just to get through the list of the dead, because oh god. Great. And then do one of those. What is this? Increase devotion generation for 3 days. We'll consider. For now, time for a funeral. Thorniger, get out there, buddy. Time for you to move on. Excuse me. This, our little guys. Oh my goodness. So sniffly. Hooray! We do need to go through the silk cradle again. Inspire? Oh, I know. Okay, but I was hoping that I could inspire... Nope, everyone's been inspired. Okay. Sorry for trying to inspire you more. My bad. Yeah, so we need to go back through the silk cradle again so that we can get the witness that's there. Yeah, thanks for your little dance, but I've seen it already. Get out of here. Okay, I'm sorry. Are you coming over to talk to me? No, you're coming over to do your job. Great. Wonderful. Go ahead and do that. Oh, right, they're elderly too, aren't they? Feck. A reminder to everyone, we are doing funny ogre names. So all names have to end in GRE. If you have a suggestion and would like to make a guy, if you would like to make yourself, I can open that up. If you have an ogre name that you would like to submit and make a little guy that way, we can do that as well. I think this guy is very good. Alright, get on in here, man. Kroger, but like Kroger. I can do that. I've got this little dude behind me being like, "Wah! Wah! Kroger." No, I don't have any robes. I'm sorry, guy. Do you have a follower form that you would like to choose, or are you just down for whatever? I forgot that there was a rotisserie chicken. What are those? What are those called? Sphinx. Sphinx cats. Naked cats. Chickens. I'm gonna hit this a few times. Oh my god, hands, please. We get funny monkey. Suddenly lost all thought as soon as he tried to think of a name. Yeah, naked cat, rotisserie chicken, it's the same thing.
Fruity Spruce is raiding with a party of 3. Kaysh and the gang welcome you.
Hello, and me, and Fruity, and friends. I mean, I knew what you were playing, but for some reason my brain just, like, went blank. I think Stars's blank thoughts, like, passed on to me. How was the end of stream? How was it? How are y'all? How's everyone? Hi. Y'all know me. Y'all know me. I'm not gonna do my silly little, "Hi, I'm so-and-so." Y'all know who I am. We killed Shimura. I am Spider Killer. Thank you, Stars. Honestly, I love it. I love Head Empty. It's great. What does Fogre want? My best friend is lost in Silk Cradle. Can you save them? Yes, because I need to go there anyway. Yeah, we killed Spider. Spider had a shit ton of health, but was honestly not that difficult. I was expecting the fight with them to go way harder. Was that supposed to? We have Worm. It's Mertroger. And he Worm. And is a raccoon. That's Jolger. He a raccoon. Hi, let me show you around my horrible cult that I keep saying I'm gonna move things around in, and then proceed not to. Here we have our silly little farm that Trinoger is taking care of. Here we have the work camps, where everyone is forced to mine for me. Our wonderful little cemetery. Ooh, wonderful. The dead. Our beautiful church. We have a mission, which is, we don't use the mission anymore. This is where everyone sleeps. We're slowly working on upgrading everyone's places. This is where everyone poops. And that's it. That's what we got. Actually, I could probably words, please. I could probably upgrade a couple. Only one. I can only upgrade. No, I can't upgrade any of them. None of these are upgradable. Okay, we'll just do this, and then we'll slowly get rid of the other houses. I want everyone to be in these shared huts because it's very funny to me. I'm glad that you were gonna ask where the poop happens, because it's right here, right above me. Right in that general area. Upgrades, people, upgrades. That's what I'm saying. I should be able to upgrade their silly single shelters into a group shelter. That's all I really want. Okay, let me collect that. Should I wait until the morning? Probably. Let's do more of those. We're running out of those. But yeah, Fruity and Friends. Y'all have probably been streaming or watching you stream for a while. If you need to go head out, do all that usual stuff, please feel free to do so. I haven't been streaming for too terribly long. Yeah, go take care of your dang selves. I'll be here when you come back. If you come back. If you want to come back. You don't gotta come back if you don't want to come back, but we'd love to have you come back. Spent all morning checking all the weird used game stores in town for Silent Hill Homecoming, by the way. No dice? Go home! Get out of here! Go home! Soon. One day. And by one day, I mean within, like, an hour, probably. Came home, bought it from a guy on eBay. Will either be here soon or never. I mean, that's the way eBay. I am not excited about the homecoming situation. It sure is a game. Telling Fruity how a pack of kids chased you? Like, today? Like, they chased you today? Do I need to go beat up some children? Because, like, I'll do that. I'm not afraid to beat up some kids. Jeez. Why are children the worst right now? I have my own pack of children that are a problem. Continue to be a problem. Are you like a movie pro tag right now? Chased by gremlins. For real, though. This. Oh, that just upgrades that? Oh. You're walking just being a little guy and they ran off the train tracks and chased you while yelling and followed you for a bit. What the fuck? Why are children? Has anyone asked? Perform at the drum circle and let the rhythmic temp. I mean, we put this here, right? Where are your parents? For real though? Hold on. Okay, hold on. Yeah, children, when it's individual elementary kids, it's like I can step on you. Fight me. When it's a horde, I'd rather not. You know? Just generally speaking. Horrible. Somebody's gonna die in the time that it takes to make all of this stuff. And it's gonna be pretty awful. But who do I want to make dance? Troker, before you die, lead this dance for us, buddy. Oh, wait. I wasn't expecting a rhythm game that has 2 spots that require square. That was bizarre and weird. Yeah, it's Cult Guitar Hero. He loved that. What? Leader, I don't know what happened. There was a darkness inside me. I felt so awful and guilty, but you have absolved me. Thank you. You're welcome. What do I've already forgotten what I do with sin. Aside from revel in it. Did I just see that somebody fell in love? Fogre and Fogre have fallen in love. I didn't realize we had 2 Fogres. Oops. Fogre loves Fogre. Okay. I mean, alright. Wild. Oh, right! Sin gives us upgrades to in here. They're all, like, cosmetic, right? You always shipped Fogre and Fogre. It's a match made in the cult compound. We love this for them. No level ups. Tragic. We're real close, though. Also, temple... God, it all takes gold. Not the 18 plus warning after Fogre. Listen, it gets spicy. Takes a couple of chapters to get there, but... Oh boy. Jeez. Okay. Everything is lovely here. We... got the mutual angst. Angst, but angst sounds very funny to me. Let's go do a murder? I don't... Oh! Oh! Right, because we've killed all the bishops. Yeah, well, the one who waits, oh fuck. Nogregr has died of old age, and Yarn Ogre is terrified of death. Okay, let's go fix... Why did he die here? Literally right as I left. Prepare. Door is open. Is that your door? Arcade, is that your door? I'm gonna take him to the furthest one, because I don't want to have to go back over there. I wasn't trying to prove nothing. Again, everyone's gonna hate... I mean, they're not. I say they're gonna hate eating grass, but they're not going to because we took the perk that they love grass, actually. I just need everyone to eat for a bit while I... Inspire! I've already inspired you today! He says, I don't want to see your stupid fucking dance anymore. And, you know, like... I get it, I guess, but also it's a really good dance. Consider. I like my dance. Jolger. Give me that level up, buddy. Okay. You love the little dance. It's very good. This is how I inspire my followers, and I hope that maybe it can inspire you too. Shamora, now smited, since time immemorial, has her presence weighed heavy upon the beasts within. Their worshippers doth be well versed in the art of war-making. Prithee, move with care, sharp teeth doth not equate to quick death. Thanks, friend. Can I have some weapons? Not a dagger! Ugh. Ugh. You hate to see it! But I broke it! Okay. Well, if I could get a relic that, like, gives me a better curse every time I activate it, that'd be cool. If I could, like, get that again, that'd be, like, wonderful, actually. There we go. And just generally, if we could get more coins. That's what we're aiming for, right? That's what we want. Okay. And again, just getting to the witness so we can get that last eye. Oh, it's you. Where did Healy Man explode? As in the man that heals, not as in a man with Heelys. Oh my god, we are doing terribly right now. Oh boy! Always more inspiration dance. Never enough inspiration dance. Can I stop getting hit? Can I get a better weapon? That's what I want. I want a better weapon. I hate the daggers. 30% more damage during nighttime. That's right now. It's not gonna do me good for much longer though. Oh my goodness. Oh, our raccoon has reached old age. This is a sad day indeed. Fuck. Fuck. Okay. I just want... I don't know. I love that though. Do that funny little octopus dance in chat. We're here for it. That's very cute, actually. Oh, I like this crown fountain. It's pretty. I do want to find a better way. Go this way, and I hate that. I do want to find a better way to like decorate our colts. It's fine, but it could be better. You know, again, some of the issue is just that I haven't like gotten all the buildings that we need and or want. And we're working on it. Can I grow evil flowers? I can grow camellias, which are not particularly evil. And I can grow mushrooms, which are tangentially evil, in this game at least. You can use them to brainwash your followers. And I think there might be, I think we've got like a couple of, I think we've got like a few flower boxes. Again, not particularly evil, but, we can decorate it by, we should get streamers. That would be beautiful. Mushrooms are evil because sometimes texture bad. I feel that. I love me a good mushroom, but I hate it when they get soggy and squishy. I need them to have a little bit of a bite to them. No sad soggy mushrooms, please. Yeah! Crisp! Deal damage to all enemies based on how many tarot cards I hold. I don't have a lot. I have the one, actually. You motherfucker. Stop healing him! Oh my god! It's not true, Fruity. Okay, whew. Okay. It's just wrong. Oh, fuck off. I hate those eggs. Okay. really want to summon a demon. So we're not gonna take that one, because I don't like it. That was nice, though. I want this, because I like Death's Attendant, but also, fuck this dagger. We need a better weapon, I say, and then immediately forget how to use gun. Okay. That... done good. Here's the thing that I don't know that everyone understands. Done good in Cult of the Lamb. Kinda like funny little blunderbuss. Okay, let's rescue friend, which I think I've already gotten the reward for some reason. Ah, don't hit me! I love mushrooms. They're funny little guys. You cannot kill them in a way that matters. Oh god. Everyone could stop shooting things at me. That would be lovely. Ah, fuck. There we go. Bigman. Also, I have confirmed you can parry arrows with gun. You just have to time it real good. And that's pretty cool. Shoot the arrow out of the sky and shoot it back at the man. You shoot it so good out of the sky that you shoot it back at him, and then he explodes. And I got so many hearts, and I'm so happy about that. Oh my god! Also, it's day 69. Nice. It's almost no longer day 69 though, unfortunately. So not nice. It's a shame, really. Fuck. Okay, little guy. Can you? I don't know what the Fogres are doing on day 69. This is why we're not at home. It is not safe there. Y'all thought it was sinful before. Hold on. You want to shoot at me? It happened. I did it. It was hard to see because there was a man in the way, but... And then he died before the arrow got to him, but it's happened. Bigger blunderbuss, but also funny hands. Bigger blunderbuss. I'm like super sold on this very silly weapon. I like it a lot. Is the thing. What is this? Sacrifice health. Seagull Red Heart was sacrificed. Diseased hearts received in return. Thanks. Oh no! Fogre has reached old age! But only one of them! What is Fogre gonna do when Fogre dies? So, like, the arrow goes really slow on the way back? Well, can't go faster. That would be silly. Fuck. Oh, God. Well... Hold on. That's what I'm saying. It's gonna be so sad when Fogger loses Fogger. Get hit by a bullet that reflected their shot and then their shot. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of really embarrassing for them, I think. I don't know how it's happening, but I do seem to be hitting some enemies multiple times, and I wonder if the trail that the bullets leave hurts the guys sometimes. 'Cause that's how it feels on occasion. What hit me? Oh! It's fine. Even bigger gun! Give me even bigger gun. Arcade, why would you do that? Also, look at this lumpy boy. Alikr. Whee! Oh god. Okay. It does have a few eyes. Just a couple of them. Okay. Whoa! Fuck! Okay, it's fine. I thought I had knocked him out of leaving. I don't think I'd want him to stay here while all this is going on, to be honest. It seems like a lot. Oh god. Okay. As per usual, I will look at chat after I am done being threatened constantly. Sir, you can't just show up and then leave immediately. I don't think that's allowed. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Let's go ahead and do that. So I wasn't feeling all of the nonsense that was happening. There we go. Yeah, there's at least 4 eyes. Several even. A handful. We are not threatening you in chat. Lies, I'm gonna get you! Come at me, stars. Yeah, the number of eyes that were occurring, you just can't count them. You just don't know what they are, also. The 4th and final witness eye. They were super eyes. There's too many eyes. Return to the cult. There was conclusively at least 1 eye. There was, at minimum, at least a singular eyeball floating around in there. And we have claimed it. It is ours now. But not for long, because we are going to go give it to our good friend. Huh. Sometimes you just gotta shoot a Cyclops. They hate that, but it's what you gotta do. Hey Fogger, how are you doing with Fogger getting old? How are you feeling, buddy? It is filthy here, and I don't know why. Who pooped? Absolute monsters. The poopiest. Hey, we did get this funny poop though. The glowing fertilizer. Excuse me. Sometimes you gotta polyphemus a boy. Very good. Got the sniffles. People are hungry, so let's make some food. Not deadly dish. Don't do that. There we go. Is Fruity making everyone hats? And or returning hats? That's tragic. I can't do my little cheat anymore. I'm very bad at it. Oh! Jolger died. I can't believe Jolger is dead. Oh, says all of the friends. Okay, put that boy in there. Get all this devotion. Get this devotion. I would like to make one of those eventually, because I think they're cute. And then we will do those. And we'll do those. And we will stop doing those things for right now because I am broke again. As I am wont to do. Give me this. Give me this. Do these never break? Is that... inspire some folks while we're here. Didn't work on as many people as I would have liked it to, but what can you do? Let me build with them so we can get our faith up, although it's full now, so there's no point in me doing this. Alright. There's that. Fill you up with boo. Put the seeds in you. Let's go ahead and do our sermon for the day, because I keep forgetting to do those early in the day. It is a nighttime sermons only. Maybe we can do some sinful dancing. We're so close to leveling up. Dearly betrothed, we are brogred here today. Ogre, ogre, it's what brings us together today. Oh, I wasn't thinking the naughty naked dancing, but now that you mention it, I was just thinking of our regular. I was just thinking of regular dancing, but some people here have not seen the naughty naked dancing. Who should we make? I mean, Fogre, right? Fogre's got Fulson? Is that what I'm understanding here? Let's get old Fogre out there. Yeah, we have like a new building where we can do regular drum dancing. Get your mind out of the ogre gutter, Fruity. It is true. They were. Look. I see so many butts right now. My captions are covering them up slightly, but there are at least 4 visible butts on screen at any time right now. So, you know, it is what it is. Look at them. Look at all those naked boys. Let's get some new friends in here. Does anybody have a funny ogre name? Kayshurrr. Kayshurrr. Exploger. Exploger. Hey Stars, do you wanna choose a fun form? Make a little guy? If not, we can always randomize. I can always make one for you. But we do have so many options. And this isn't even all of them. Snail dude? Alright. What color would you like your snail dude to be? Well, you're choosing a snail dude color. Let me take a sip of my water. Orange. This one? That is the only orange one in there. Okay. Me having to, like, triple check that I know what the color orange is. And then last option, we got variants. We got a funny little striped snail shell. We got face paint. And we got the guy that we started with. They're all very good. I just love snail. Stripey? Alright. I like that he's already sitting here naked. I like that he has nothing but a leaf on already. Get on in here, Exploger.
Oh.
Okay. Wonderful. Do we have anything else that I need to make? Yeah, he put on a shirt for like 1 second and said, fuck that. Looks like he has a beehive on his back. He just loves bees. You know, do you ever just like really love bees? I have none, 0 gold. Probably sell a whole bunch of stuff, honestly. This isn't returning a bunch of fuck off spiders. Okay, yeah, it's not giving us like a whole bunch of money, but it is— No! Come back here! No! You piece of shit. We have 69 beats, by the way. I guess this is like the best way to make money, huh? We aren't really using follower meat, so give me 77 coins, thank you. Is there anything else that I like wanna— Not really. Okay. Yeah, we're selling the flesh. I mean, there is extortion. They only give me like 4, maybe 5 coins a piece, which is like the only downside to tithes. I mean, tithes. Okay, let's make more of these, so that we can keep those going for forever. Does anybody wanna— No, everyone just wants to be lazy and naked today. I guess that's fine. Let's do our sermon, because we're like real close to leveling up. Go give Cat a snack, go! If Cat is cool with it, could you give Cat a little scritch from me? Or at the very least, look lovingly upon the cat for me. If a scritch is out of the question. Merciless weapons have a chance to deal a critical hit when attacking enemies. Okay. Curse of Beguiler, 3 new curses show up. Increase the starting level of weapons when you begin a new crusade. Yeah, gaze lovingly into the abyss. That's what I do when I look at Devo. My silly little man. Who are you? I don't care for Kudai's blessing. Is the thing. You know what? We're gonna do this one. Cause who doesn't love a higher level weapon? Also, what are all these? Wait, I want to look at those. Okay, or not. Rituals. We gotta stay on top of these funerals because, oh god, they have piled up. Joe Ogre. Yeah, it looked like stuff for all the different types of weapons, but I want to know specifically what it is, you know? What do? Okay. I just want to know. Any other rituals? Not really. Oh, you know what I could do? Fogre and Fogre is still alive, right? Fogre the Elder is still alive, right? Wait, no! I thought I was gonna be able to marry them to each other, but apparently I have married Fogre. Well, that's fine. I just accidentally married Fogre, and now Groger has died. Where is he? Can everyone stop just hanging out around the corpse? I thought I was going to be able to choose which of the followers to, like, have marry each other. That is... Yeah, that's... I'm sorry I am like this. I have made a terrible mistake. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. Said somebody. Somebody's giggling over there. Okay, nobody's doing nothing because they're too busy being naked. I get it. I'll just do all the work myself then. Something is dirty and I don't know what it is, and I should probably address that, but also I gotta make these. I'm sorry. I have nothing I can say to make that situation better. I'm sorry. I'm married to Fogre now. What you gonna do about it? Nothing. Oh boy. Oh, it's almost done. Everyone's gonna get back to work soon. Shortly. In just a minute. Rite of Bless has come to an end. Grieger Wageeger. There are rumors that you can command the crops to grow. Is this true? It is. I can do that. Hey Fogre. Oh, your sin isn't all the way up yet. Fuck! Okay, let's grow the crops real fast because Grieger Wageeger wants me to make some crops grow. Guess what, bucko? I've done it. How How useless was that? It's fine. We've done it. It's complete. Get us out of here. Anything for my followers. Hi. You honor me, great leader. I am eternally grateful. Good. Give me that level up. Let's go. Hey, we can have a new doctrine now as well. Let's do that. Can't fill any of those up. Can I... What do I need for that? Refined wood. Okay. Good to know. Why are we... Right, because doctrine. It's like, why are we glowing over here? What happened? It's time for a new doctrine. What are we doing? What do we want? These are maxed, which is exciting. I guess we haven't done possessions in a while. It's still at 2, so let's... Ritual unlock. Perform a ritual at your temple in which you distribute gold to all followers to increase their loyalty. I also gain 10 faith. Perform a ritual at your temple at which all followers donate gold to you. Well, give me your money. Give me your fucking money! Thanks. 62 bones? Oh, I lose faith? Why? That's rude. Do they not understand that all of this money is, like, essentially going back to them? I'm gonna do it. Can I have $1? No, but can I have $1? No one's happy about this, but... Again, it's not like I'm using this to buy things for myself. I'm using it for them! Inspire. Let's get all the old folks together. Goodness gracious, who just leveled up back there? Fogger. Oh, no, that lives there. Okay. Welcome back! Okay, let's do a regular funny dance. No! Mertroger! Fogger is still alive, and we are going to make him the center of our dance so that we can get some more sin. Oops. It's throwing me off that there are 2 spots per square. I don't like that. Why isn't it square, X, and circle? That would make more sense. Thank you for the send. That's what I'm asking. Why 2 square? It's not great. Alright, well, worm dead. And that's tragic. I know I could just, like, build all of these already, but I'd rather just do them one at a time, honestly. Give me that. And just to triple check. No, that doesn't tell me anything. Okay. View the upgrades. I think they still break over time, which is very upsetting to me. Well, what can you do? Okay, it's clean again. Do need to be feeding everyone. Which, like, why is everyone so needy? Food. Ugh. So demanding. Okay. Nom, 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 nom. No! What can I do for you? Oh, he ate an exquisite meal and leveled up because of that. Okay. I am concerned about the spider situation. And them running off with all of the food that we have made. Not looking forward to fending off spiders all night. Or are they gonna leave it alone? Do they not go after the food? Because if not, I'm just gonna leave. What do you mean? We need to go see Plinko? Plunko? Plumbo. Limbo. Plimbo. 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 I'll take that. Here, this is for you. An eye for an eye indeed. Thanks, friend. Jimbon. Limbo.
Babu.
Really done it, you damned lamb. You've slain all 4 of the witnesses. Limbo's a creature of my word and savvy with the business. I'll follow ye. All Blimbo asks in return is you keep me waterways safe and trade secure. I'll even sell you some of my wares. No discounts, but don't get too big for you tiny britches, lamb. Cool. He gives us devotion now. More have pledged themselves to you. Love. I think these follower forms, we haven't really, like, unlocked any at any of these because I've been so fucking broke all the time. I'm not wearing breeches, I'm wearing a robe! Get it right! It's true. We have an honor now. I'm just gonna spend all my money on followers, because it's been sorely missing. Elephant. Is that a mallard? That's some sort of duck. We love it. We love it when friends have 2 mouths. It's a bit. Kind of a lot. Let's go home and sell some more stuff. I'm gonna sell more follower meat, because with eye problems, I mean, Duck's got a lot of problems. Great. I don't want to sell all of our meat, though, because we do like having some of it. Okay. What do we need for mating tent? It costs sin, though. It doesn't generate sin. It costs sin. We need 12 refined wood to make a drink house. Okay, good to know. Let's start making some refined wood. Okay, oh no, an outhouse just exploded, huh? Okay, it's fine. What do I want to do? I mean, we need more gold, right? And we need some camellias, so let's go to Darkwood. Because, I mean, we don't even really need camellias anymore. Like, we're fine? Give me meat. I hate the daggers so much. Gold! Gold! I love the fact that we aren't necessarily struggling for gold anymore. Make an offering? What are you gonna give me for 20 gold? Oh! Given gold was stolen, the statue is angry. Oh. Oh, yeah, I guess it's because I took all the gold around him, huh? Okay. Understood. Enemies have a chance of dropping fish. Sure. Hi! Come on, buddy. We just want to get through as fast as we can. Great. You shitheads. I don't hate the heavy attack for the daggers, honestly. It's the best of all of them, I think. Okay. It's just very hard to aim. No. Whew. No, you have to leave now. Everyone is dead. Give me all the poop. Okay. Cool. Who died? Jolger died. Don't like that the squirrels don't take a lot of damage. It's a little rude, if you ask me. Let's go here. Okay. Oh. I mean, give me that. Wait. Oh, I'm an idiot. I thought it was gonna give me, like, a new heart. Like, as in, like, a whole section of a heart. Just more health, I guess is what I'm attempting to say. And doing a bad job of. I should have chosen the other one. You know now. Chest drop food, not gold. Well, I need gold. Is the thing that they're not understanding? Okay. But if they're gonna be rude about it, I guess there's not much that we can do, huh? Well, that's fine. Please. I need not a dagger. If I'm allowed to be picky, which I am, non-dagger would be lovely. Reveal the map, I guess. But I know what I'm getting myself into every time I go into a room. Because the double healing's not really gonna help us here. Is the main thing. I say that and then immediately get hit, but... Oh. Let's just take him out. And we'll just take him out. Not dagger, not dagger. Blunderbuss. Done, 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 done. We like gun. And it's more patterns, huh? Oh, Bear has a new outfit on, huh? I don't buy one. Is that because he's in Darkwood? So he gets like a different outfit in each place? Aren't you a lamb of the finest taste? A connoisseur of fashion! That's all I have for the moment. Give me some time to drop a few new designs, and I promise you'll be the first to have them. Okay, thanks, bud. Hey, here's the thing. I don't need these hearts. And all it's giving me is hearts. Let's get out of here. Do we get a follower every time we finish a dungeon? Like, do we get a new boss at the end? Or I assume, like, you know, a set of repeating bosses for once you've killed the main guy or the main bishop and excuse me, and the witness. But, like, can I just, like, get followers that way? Okay. That's what I thought, but it's been a while since we've done, like, a repeat run, that I just, like, could not remember. Give me a whole extra heart, please. Kayshurr's reached old age. Okay. Everyone's getting old and dying. Enthusiasts. Hey, nerd. Oh god. I should probably, like, pay attention, huh? That hits him pretty dang hard! Wait. Oh, no new friend. Okay, well, give me some berries. I'm pretty short on those. That's a decent amount of... Nah, it's fine. It would have been nice had that been the case, but, you know, that's okay. That gives us a better idea of what to choose when we go through, you know? For the future, so. I'm at the point where it's, I don't know. I'm trying to think of, like, what I'm trying to say. Hold on. I can do a hydrate. And a stretch. Alright. Reminder that y'all should do that too. It's highly recommended that you also drink some water and do a stretch with me. So much water. I don't want to have to, like, go through the old dungeons if I don't have to, right? Because I know I'll get bored doing that. Doing one every so often, not too horrible, especially if it's like Darkwood, because it's pretty short. But some of those later ones are really long, but I have to go through them. Sorry, excuse me. I have to go through them to get specific types of resources, because there's some that are only, that you can only get in, like, certain places, right? What is wrong with that poop? Why does that poop look like that? Oh, is that the, like, angelic? That's devoted fertilizer. Right. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm kind of, like, not at a loss, but definitely sort of trying to gauge what we need to do. I should probably put this boy away, huh? Everyone's dying again. We got meat. What else is dirty? An outhouse. Okay. And then there's a poop here. It's because they only live for like 2 days. Honestly, though! It's so... It dies so fast. And it's really upsetting, because it's hard to keep our numbers up. I guess, should we go, like... Go do the... whatever it is that we need to do for the one who waits? Oops. I know I've done a sermon today. Don't leave! I'm just gonna start unlocking these because we just need to unlock them. And again, I'm not necessarily gonna use them. Rituals. Just a quick little funeral. Though we do need to bring in those couple of other friends, because... Oh boy, we only have 10 followers right now. Which is not really enough to do anything, especially when, like, 3 of them are too old. Yeah, we have so many corpses. It just doesn't feel like it, because we've shoved them all into crypts, and we only have 3 of those, but they each fit 8 bodies, and 2 of them are full. Not to mention the, like, graves that we have as well. So... Buddy, you have to wait. Angor. And ogre. Because he's an ogre, you see. We have lots of new forms to look at. Again, just trying to get little new icons to go away. Oh, I like that. Alright, bud. Get on out here. Tend to the farms, please. What do you got, bud? Some creatures are here seeking shelter with our cult, but they are sick! Yes. Ren. Ogre. Again, if anybody has suggestions or wants to... Green cat, wants to make a little guy, just let me know. I'm just trying to get some dudes out here. That's all. Okay, you need to stop being sick. Can we have an elephant guy? Yeah, we can. Let's go. You need to go do some bed rest. You have a name. If not, we can find one. Puttiger. Puttiger. What color elephant do you want? I hate when you swap between the colors, his eyes open for like 0.1 of a second. Another particularly horrible. Yellowfant. That form. Variant. Got chewed up guy, guy with funny little hair, a regular horrible face elephant. What do you mean, Arcade? We love this weird little guy. He's horrible to look at, and I love him. Funny hair. Alright. Let's go! We got the funny hair guy in here, and now we have to make him not sick. Because he's sick. Real elephants are great. I like that they hold grudges. Because, oh boy. His trunk is his chin. Kind of. It's not great. Not the flappy chin. Oh, I can make better outhouses. Yes, please. Ah, I don't have enough. Please. I know we're like working on getting like actual things that we need, but like better poop stations. Go ahead and do that so we can store more drinks. That's the one that I want to make. But yeah, are we ready to free the one who waits? I assume that doesn't like end the game, right? Ah, shit. Kayshurrr has died. Well, Kayshurrr doesn't seem too upset about the fact that Kayshurrr died. You know what? We're gonna put Kayshurrr here, and then when other Kayshurrr dies, we'll put them right here, so that they're right next to each other. How does that sound? You good with that? That way they can be together forever. Separated by a few feet of soil. Nope, don't talk to an ogre. Just pick up your shit, bud. That. Oh my god, staying on top of everything is very difficult. I need to feed everyone. Okay. Everyone come eat. Feel better about things. We'll let them do what they're doing. And I think we're gonna do this. It's the gateway. Requires 20? Bro. I need 8 more guys, but I'm about to have like 6 people die. Okay, I guess I gotta go. Gotta go through. We haven't done Anchor Deep in a while, and I think we like would probably use some like cauliflower or whatever. The fuck. We gotta get the Megan up. It's true. Horrible. Give me all of that. Okay. No. We will not increase in size. It's a bad plan. Don't do it. It's a trap. You will have a bad time. Fuck. Okay. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna forever big 'em. It's bad and slow, and you get hit even easier. And I don't like it. I don't like it when I get hit. Oh! Okay. Yeah, see? Arcade understands. Getting hit means ouchies! Stop going away! Okay. I don't know that this is like the best place to be right now. Not that it's a bad place to be, but just like I'm having a hard time like knowing what I need. I know I need it's just like wood and stone and gold, right? So like where's the best place to go to get gold specifically? Because like we're good on pro. We're good on wood and stone as long as we've got money. We still have to do Midas's stuff too. Everything is difficult. Why is it all difficult? Here, because we need the followers. Everybody oh god, it's a mallard. Y'all better start be thinking of ogre names. Ow. Fuck. Just doing it real bad. Sir. Also, I should probably put some dinner on the stove into the oven. Not that I'm ready to be done playing yet, but I'm just realizing it's gonna take like an hour for lasagna to cook. And I should probably like start that now, huh? Oh. Okay. Fuck! My poor guy! Food is important. Still have pasta from earlier, but I don't... Like, I still have that Alfredo that I made, but I'm just kind of like... I've had it once today. I don't want to eat it again. Let me go turn the oven on real fast. I'll be right back. I'm sorry, Arcade. You're gonna. Yeah, I was gonna say, Frank. This is exactly what happened to Frankie Boyle's tiny friend. The only difference is, I would open the oven. I'm actually gonna take just a minute longer because I need to use the restroom. So we're gonna swap to the BRB screen and we will BRB.
Oh, dear Jesus. Hi, ma'am. What is he doing up there? Sir, that is incorrect. Really want to work on emotes now that my body isn't killing me? Yes. Octo emotes next on my art list. Oh! Nope, she's still there! I was about to say, oh, it's fine, she's gone now. No, please, stop. Nope, 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 nope. Oh! Hello! Who's weirder and grosser, Donald or Mickey? Donald. Mickey is being negligent of the entire kingdom, sure. But Donald 100% has the ability to heal me constantly and doesn't. That motherfucker lets you die all the time for no reason because he's an idiot and he's the worst magician ever. He's supposedly the best wizard in all of the kingdom and he fucking sucks. That's my rant about Donald Duck. Plus he makes those bad noises. Those bad noises, and we don't like that. Ah! That's so loud! The game just... Quick! Hide! What? What the fuck?
Scary no-face?
Yes. Nekomiancinya. I hate myself for doing that. Never again. Can I also assume that these boxes can only hold however much is actually in them? It was art, Allie, and you know it. No. Oh.
Okay, I'm back. It's so many peas. My god. Please, Pong. Plush, port, plug, parade, parry, plenty, puzzle, punch, pinch, peruse. Pundy pictures, pizzazz. Pool parm, pharmacy phone, high on. Gritty president, parasocial, pending, pig, pond, purple pew. You got pond in there twice. I think? No, I'm just an idiot. Okay. What did I think it was? I think Punk got me. Okay, it's fine. So many peas. I'm always so impressed how many peas you come up with. There's so many dang peas! I didn't know that many peas even existed. Wow! I'm gonna have to throw the lasagna into the oven once the oven is preheated. But that won't take too long, I don't think. long enough that I don't have to worry about it for a couple of minutes, but, you know. Yeah, what's gonna happen when you run out of peas? Trinogre is dead. This is horrible. This is a sad day for the compound. Trinogre is gone. I'm glad that we are getting parts back. Yes and no. I've had lasagna in the freezer for a while and have been telling myself not to eat it for the last couple of days, just because then I won't have lasagna for a while. But I was genuinely considering making it for lunch, and held off, and then Survivor was like, lasagna! And I was like, this is a sign. This is a sign from King George, and I need to eat some lasagna. George was not involved in the lasagna situation, but I thought it was funny. Yeah, so yes and no. It's kind of the deciding factor, but has been a thing that's been on my mind for a number of days. And with me not doing the errands today that I needed to run, I was planning on making some chicken and broccoli with like teriyaki sauce and stuff. But I don't have any onions at the moment, so we had to put that on hold for the time being. But I'll be able to make that tomorrow, probably, or the day after, depending on how much energy I have tomorrow. Oh my god. Yeah, it's the Joker's special lasagna recipe. Oh my god. It's been great. Australian Survivor has been great. Genuine delight. That happened to your buddy Eric? The lasagna situation, or eating lasagna that the Joker has provided to him? I guess that's all lasagna-based situations, huh? Let's go ahead and do that. As much as I love Death of Atonement, give me 4 tenths. And an extra heart, thank you! Alright, we got lots of fish. Cool. Actually, I am starting to get a little tired. I am realizing we've streamed for 2 hours. Well, I mean, we'll go for a little bit longer, but, probably not too much longer. I hate the fact that we have to get so many followers. This is horrible for me. No. No. So I might play a little bit off stream just to try and get us some followers. If anybody has name suggestions for when/if I do that, no. Return to the cult. Feel free to like put them in stream spoilers in the Discord. And I will make some guys. Pond Ogre. Do we have a guy like ready to go? Because like I'll name him that right now. / I will write that down so I remember it if we don't have a dude. We do have a dude. We have the horrible mallard. Which makes sense why he would be named Pond Ogre. The Pond Ogre is still pretty sorry. Same hat. What color would you like your horrible duck? Kind of like the blue one, but it's yours, Arcade. Again, unless you would prefer for me to choose, but like, I am here for your choices. Go blue, okay. All right. I don't know, there's just something about that, like that blue and that orange that just, I really like together. Oh god. Regular mallard? Regular duck? Horrible hook-billed duck. They're all not good to look at, is the thing. Yeah. Yeah. Regular mallard? Alright. He's a little rough, huh? Okay, we can go mine some stone. We have to clean some stuff. There's a dead body around, isn't there? Somebody died. Where? Where did they die? Oh god, maybe it was this actually. Nope, we're still dirty. Where? Am I just like walking past a body? I was just walking past a body. Sometimes you forget what corpses look like. What of it? Okay, I'm gonna put him in the ground, but I have to remember to keep this one open for Foger. For whenever it is that he decides to keel over. We can do a sermon. It's sermon time. Great. Everybody get out of here. Give me that. Should probably feed everyone before we, somebody is... Oh god, what does he want? Pondogre? Later, all of us with loyal followers would love to get together and have a splendid dinner. Do you think you could throw us a feast? Yeah, I can do that, but y'all are gonna have to wait a little bit until you're very hungry. Because that is saved for special occasions. Lovely tea party. Yeah. We have a lot of poop. I don't know if you know this. We got a lot of poop, though. Let's go ahead and use those ones up. He's not harvested anything yet. We should build... Did I build the drink house yet? No, because I still need more wood. We have enough refined wood, but I need more of that for something else, but I also need more of those. Where do we want the drink house to live? Not by the cemetery, that's too sad. Near the bathrooms, you know, just in case somebody gets sick. Let's get rid of that. Okay. I need to get rid of those broken buildings. I would like to just replace everything with those big houses. How do I brew? Oh. 75% chance of causing a follower to become befuddled. Not poop juice. 25% chance of increasing follower loyalty. Dropping valuable resources. How does this work? Is this... Is somebody coming to... Oh, an ogre has a funny little hat now! Oh, I love it! That's very cute. Exploger. I'll go ahead and inspire you, buddy. From me to you. Is there anything else that we can make that we need? I want to do this, but I don't like the fact that it costs it. That's a little annoying to me. And I don't think I can like really afford to stay on top of Sin at the moment. Otherwise, I'd be like on it, you know. Yeah, upgrading that one too would be great. We're gonna let everyone get hungry for a bit. Right, I need to get rid of those broken houses. Ugh. Okay. There's so much to pay attention to, and I am very bad at it. There we go. Fuck! Ogre has died. Just gonna have those be there and ready to go. We could definitely have that feast. I want to wait until everyone's a bit hungrier is the main thing. Because it takes forever for it to cool down, and it feels like a bit of a waste when nobody is hungry. So I think let's do one quick run. Let me go throw my lasagna in the oven. Okay, lasagna in oven. Let's buying stuff from Helob sucks, but it is a good, easy way of getting followers. I think at this point, just stockpiling followers would be a great option. Oh, I'm out of hammer. So we'll do this one run. Once we get back, everyone will be hungry. We'll do our feast. Fuck. Oh my god. This is horrible! I hate hammer. I hate hammer so much. I would rather take a dagger over a hammer. If that gives you any idea of how I feel about a hammer. Also, I heard the negative sound. What happened? hammer gets rid of eggs quickly and vaguely painlessly. Excuse you! Motherfucker. Is there anything? I just want to get through this so that we can get some followers, but I also just, I have to look around everywhere. Horrible. Stop moving! I need... Oh, I want to make one of those. I need them to not move is the thing, though. They do have a lot of legs. Have they considered resting those legs? Just taking a little resty rest. 21% more damage during the day. Yes, please. It's about to be day. And we love that. Boger's reached old age. This is I can't get followers fast enough. Is the problem that we are currently having. Okay. Get him out of here. Just too many guys. Dead enemy bodies explode, damaging other enemies. Love that. Oh, I guess we have to go this way. Ugh. Okay, well... As much as I hate the hammer, it does demolish the plants pretty quickly, which is nice. Hey buddy, what's up? Oh, darkness, oh suffering. What say you, lamb? Do you embrace the cruelties of this world? Life is beautiful. To see grace in a land such as this, I cannot be around such delirium. Are you kidding me? Horrible bear. Awful bear. Rudest bear that's ever existed. I don't know. That bear was pretty awful. Oh god. I'm not gonna. That was a bad bear. He wouldn't join me, Arcade, and I'm delightful. I don't trust a bear that doesn't trust me. Why wouldn't it trust me? I'll take it back when the bear starts trusting me. I'm sorry. No, stop. Stop with these. Oh my god. There is too much going on in this dang room. Oh boy! I mean, this whole run is basically useless to me now. Is the thing. There aren't any other followers to get. Fuck it. Ah! Okay. I thought we were gonna get hit. Yeah, I know I've lost 15% of my new items. That's fine. I didn't die, though. I do appreciate that I can just abandon a run now. Edit buildings. We want to remove shelter. Remove shelter. I'll remove those as well because nobody is living in those. Where did the house go? I don't have enough stone per house. Everything is horrible. It's fine, but it's just... It's a little annoying. By the time I'm not gonna get enough followers. I get one and like 3 have died. Oh! Hager is dead.
Oh. Oh.
I'm gonna get to the point where like everyone's going to be dead. And I'm just gonna have... I might just genuinely just stack up 20 dudes here and call it good. Because, like... This is a bit much. I think I just need 20 of those for rent. I just sell like a ton of this. I don't need 1,000. I don't need 1,000 bones. I also don't have the patience to click this 100 times. That's fair. Get out of here. Go hang out with friends. Thanks for stopping in and hanging out for as long as you have, though, Arcade. I always appreciate it. I appreciate you. Have a good night, pal. We are just gonna keep complaining about the general state of things. And how it sucks a lot that everyone is dying. Does Helob have a new friend? Oh, he has a sick pal for 25. I'll take him. That puts us at 12 if I were to like bring them in now. Which I don't want to. Because we still have a lot of other dudes who are getting ready to fucking beef it. Let's do our sermon. Let's do our ritual. Our feast. And yeah, I genuinely might just like play offline and try and get up to 20 dudes. I'm sorry if everybody dies between now and then. What can you do? It's harder now that like we have gotten through all the witnesses and stuff, because that's not like we don't have a guaranteed follower anymore. And sometimes they're all a little rude about joining us. Well, I didn't wake everyone up. Everyone was already awake. Dinner just went late. But yeah, that might be a project for me off stream to do. Because I'm at a little bit of a loss as to how to resolve the follower situation, you know? But I think that's gonna be it for today. And honestly, it is late enough, and I am tired enough that I don't think we're gonna do a raid. Unless... I guess I'll take a peek. But I am very sleepy. And I do need to be eating some food. Yeah. Yeah. No raid today, I think. Today was kind of unplanned anyway, as far as stream is concerned, because I wasn't anticipating having, you know, not having to do the errands that I need to get done. So yeah, we'll see what happens. We probably won't be back to this until next week, Monday or so. Yeah, I'm trying to think of like what there is to say, and I, excuse me, don't know, because, like I said, this was very, it was vaguely planned, in that it was kind of a last minute thing where I was like, oh, I guess I can do this. But yeah, we'll do more of this next week. I'll play between now and then and try and get as many followers as we can. Let me know if you have any ogre names, or write them down and save them for the next time we stream this. But for now, I think we're gonna get out of here. See y'all next time. Have a good rest of your time zone, and take care, pals.